And it's like, how do you break through to like average people who are maybe on the right, where they really believe this idea that if you really work hard, you will get ahead?
But the maddest thing about LSE, in particular, you know about LSE, right? LSE, for those who don't know, London School of Economics, like a very fancy economics university in London. And loads and loads of foreign students. I don't want to be disrespectful to the foreign students at LSE, right? A lot of these guys are not that smart. Of course, some of them are, but at the end of the day, the truth is, they're there because they're from very rich families.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they don't even need to be smart.
Yeah.
Because like they're gonna go home and they're gonna work like for like the government or like for their dad's company.
Bro, some of the dumbest kids I've ever met were rich as
they're
fuck.
there. The truth is, a lot of these guys go to LSE to find a husband or a wife. I know that sounds mad,
Tinder
but
for
the
the
thing
wealthy.
is, and they work for Goldman Sachs for a few years, and then they go. And then I remember being in like one game theory class in third year LSE, and the professor asked this question. It was quite an easy question, and he asked one guy, nothing, another guy, nothing, another guy, nothing, another. They don't fucking care. They don't care, and then they're gonna go. And they're going to memorize the last 5 years of exam papers and they're going to get like 71 and it's going to be good enough for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you make, like, this is one of the ones that drives me insane. I used to believe it and it's funny how much I've flipped, but how do you make someone who's like on the right understand that like meritocracy in that sense, like the smartest kid will not be the one that wins like that?
Yeah.
It is literally, I have met so many people, and I think if most people really are honest about life, they will have noticed wealthy people who are dumb and like they just had good backgrounds. Like I've seen that a lot. I think luckily from having I went to like public school and then I went to private school. My parents got like inheritance, so I went to like private school. All the kids were loaded.
Yeah.
And I saw quite a few of them are dumb, but obviously they're kids. But then when I got older, I worked in marketing, and then you start like going to these fucking, I'd be getting taken to like these manor houses and stuff where they would rent the whole place out to have a marketing. I don't know what we were doing. We were just like, I don't know what we were talking about, but they would talk and discuss bullshit. And you would meet some of the thickest people, like really dumb people, and they're in like senior positions or at least doing well. And it's like, how do you break through to like average people who are maybe on the right, where they really believe this idea that if you really work hard, you will get ahead and you will win? Oh my I would say, yeah, so how do you get through to like people that have really bought into this idea of meritocracy, that it is so clear, like how do you get through to them that just the smartest person doesn't win? That isn't true. I've met a lot of smart people who, like Carla talked about it, where it's like some of the smartest people I've ever met were drug dealers or they went to jail and stuff like that. And it's like, it doesn't correlate. It is literally your background plays such a massive role.
I'll tell you what I think. It's difficult to get through to people like that when they're young.
Yeah.
And, you know, I look at my demographics on the channel and we do really well at like 25 to 35, 35 to 45. We don't do that well with 24 and under.
I'm the same.
And I think the reason why is when you're 24 and under, and I was like this when I was 24 and under, you're on it. You're going for it. True. Like you trying to make it, you trying to make your money. And like maybe to some degree, you believe if I go for it, if I'm going to run for it, I'm going to make it, right?
Yeah.
Very few people above 25 believe that.
yeah.
And the truth, because the truth is, once you're older than 25, if you have any visibility, like of people from different class backgrounds, you realize, fuck me, literally everyone I know is exactly as rich as their dad.
yeah.
And you realize it, like, you know, like I come from a poor background. Even the kids who go to LSE, even the kids who go to LSE that come from poor backgrounds, they don't get good jobs. The vast majority of them don't get good jobs.
That's so mad.
And even the ones that were smart, and you know, like I was one of the top students at LSE. My grades were like some of the best grades in the whole university. You've read my book. I got my job by cheating in a fucking card game.
Yeah.
I'm literally trying to think of a single person I know, other than me, that has significantly like transitioned upwards, like in terms of like where they land.
Yeah. Like I used to think, you know, when I was like, definitely, when you're younger, you're so right. When you're younger, you just don't want to be a fucking nihilistic person, because you want to have some hope in life. You want to think like, if I work hard, I can get ahead. But it was funny for me how my attitude flipped from being like kind of like successful now. Before I was super like, anyone can make it. You just have to work hard. I was looking around, I was looking at all my friends who were like doing well and the ones who weren't. And I was like, the ones who aren't doing well, they're not working hard about. And so I made, I like got some success. And then my attitude completely changed because I started to realize like the reason I got success ultimately really comes down to the fact that my parents own their house. I didn't have to move out of the house until I was like 25. So my parents, and I didn't go to uni, my parents just allowed me to dick around for like 8 years. I was just allowed to, I told them like, I'm going to make a clothing brand. I'm going to make a vegan food stand. And they didn't charge me rent. And so I'm already like, all those factors already, not having to get out, so I didn't have to get a full-time job, didn't have to pay rent. So I have so much more time to take opportunities. So like meritocracy, I do sort of believe that meritocracy exists in the middle class. Yeah. If you're in a position where you have some comfort and you haven't got to jump into some life commitment at the age of 18 of some job because you need to make rent, you can have like 6-7 years to figure shit out, take chances, and it's a game of probability. Like the more chances you take, one of them will pop. And for me, it worked out. By the end of it, I'd gone and done a lot of hard work, but the reason being I could do that is because I had all that extra free time that most people didn't fucking have. The reason my YouTube career popped off was because I got furloughed for 2 months as one of my videos went viral. So I had two months just to work on YouTube videos. Yeah. So I had the time. Yeah.
One thing about social mobility is, social mobility exists at a very zoomed in scale. So what I mean is, if you take two people from the same like financial background, two kids grew up next door to each other on the same street. If one of them like works really, really, really hard and like studies really, really hard, and the other one, sits around smoking weed, like most chances this guy will end up richer than that guy. Yeah. But if there's a kid like 10 minutes down in a nice neighborhood who's from a much richer family, that kid can sit around and smoke weed. You'll never catch him. Yeah. You'll never catch him.
He'll end up in market.
Social mobility seems real because people compare themselves to people on the same level. I always remember.
It's the same for me, man.
Yeah. My dad, he won't like me like calling him out on this, but my dad is like, he's a little bit reformy. You know what I mean? Like
they all are.
There's a lot of people supporting reform, right? Like, so we shouldn't like mock it, right? My dad was a bit like that, and he was like, he was this kind of, we just work hard, we get our head down, we don't like point fingers, we don't look at the rich, and
that's that Thatcher era. That comes off the back.
He went, and he was like big Thatcher fan,
and he probably was the generation that won off.
Yeah, he was like 21, 22 when Thatcher came in, and they thought it was like cool and sexy, whatever. But he went for a walk around the area he grew up with my mum. They're from South London, and they walked around Balham, and they saw in an estate agent's window a house on the street my dad grew up cost more than £1 million. And I think that's when he realised, well, it can't work.
Yeah.
How can social mobility exist when the amount of money that I need to give my kids the life that my dad gave me, his dad was a bus conductor, right? Is completely impossible to get no matter how hard I work. When house prices become £1 million a house, £2 million a house, that means that social mobility can only exist at zoomed in level. That means that like, no matter how hard you work, even the amount of money I made, I went to uni with kids from LSE. Like, it doesn't matter what I do, I will never be as rich as them. Like I will make, very, very few people will ever make the amount of money I made. I will never even be able to touch these guys, regardless of what they do. Like, so, and that's what it means when house prices are like that.
Yeah, what you were saying, and this is something I've sort of thought about a lot, is like, what can be true on an individual level doesn't necessarily ring true for a big group. So like, on an individual level, and this is what I say, if I was to talk to a friend and be like, and they wanted, or like some young 18-year-old lad and he wanted life advice, I would tell him all the libertarian, go pull yourself up, go to the gym. I would tell him all that shit.
Yeah.
But I would be insane to think that everyone in society, that advice even works for everyone. On an individual level, you can probably improve your life slightly. Like your example is good. If you had two guys from a working class background, one sitting around playing COD and smoking all day, and the other one's like working, he will get ahead. He's probably never going to buy a house, but he's probably going to get ahead. Yeah. And the other guy's probably not. So on an individual level, while it is true, if you were to work harder, probably you improve your life fractionally.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest advice on a macro
level. I want to be like really clear. I ain't telling nobody don't work hard.
No, yeah.
And I never said...
That's where the left gets a bit lost.
I never said to anybody don't work hard, and I'm not against making money. Like, I've been poor, and I ain't going to tell, anybody out there, and I worked fucking hard. Yeah. I worked hard to get my job, and I worked hard in my job, and I worked hard to make money, and I'm supportive of all these things. But and this is a big thing which I think about a lot nowadays, is like, I also understand that class interests exist.
Yeah.
And we live in a world where very rapidly the middle class is losing to these super rich. And on an individual basis, these rich guys will win.
Yeah.
They will win. Like, you cannot compete with these guys. They're too rich. They will win. And over time, that wealth will pass out of your class and into their class. And because you can't win on the battle of money, you have to play the game of politics. You just fucking have to. You have to play the game of politics. If you don't play that game, you're going to lose. But how do we communicate to people that you have to do both? In the sense that you have to work hard and you have to save your money, you have to try and invest, you have to do all these things. But if you don't play that political game on the same team as that guy that lives next door to you, the same team as the guy in your football team, as the same team as like the people you go to school with, as the same team as
That's why
if you don't play that political game, you have to do both.
I think that is where the right does really well with the young male demographic, is because it offers a empowering message, albeit stupid, like to tell young people they can somehow, become a billionaire. It's outrageous. But to a young person who has no life experience and no understanding of like complicated systems, like power structures and how they affect you, an optimistic message will always sell to a good, especially young men who are being told they need to go and provide and need to become powerful and strong, and we idolize that.
Yeah.
That's always going to win against this nihilistic realism, but this pessimistic, sad attitude that I guess is what the left, because we are more realistic and we understand like the average person doesn't really have a fucking chance, that struggle. So I think we need to find like a really empowering message to give to people. And I think I try and analyze like what did they do in like the 1920s and like when you had the work, like the labor movements, they were empowered. Like they weren't pussies. They weren't going, man, this fucking sucks. They were like, no, we're going to take down the fucking, I mean, they were like, some of them were wild communists, but they were like, we're going to take down the bourgeois, blah, blah, blah. But they felt like they were having a battle against the powerful. And we can sell that message. Like, you can talk about how like we will rise, we will win, and we will fight these people, and that is more optimistic. A young lad needs to get behind something. A young lad doesn't want to sit there and be like, man, this sucks, we're never going to get anywhere. We need to have like a battle and a fight. And it might be dumb, it might be really stupid, but I think that's how we have to frame stuff, is this is a big battle that we can win, but we have to unite and like fight against it. And I think a lot of it is about rhetoric. Like, I'm quite a believer in rhetoric. Like, I think you need strong, powerful ideas that motivate people.
Line, PL, just project leader. Unlock, used as a noun. It's like, oh, this is gonna be a really big unlock for the client. Boil the ocean. No, let's not boil the ocean. Circle back. Oh, another one is double click, parallel process. And then also turn into a pumpkin. I don't know if that's a consulting word or just a...
Are you making these up?